What's up, guys? Welcome to a new episode of Talking Figures. As always, I am Tony. Guys, today is a long time coming. If you don't know this man, then you can catch him on his channel at Aaron the Toyenhancer. There you'll see some amazing toy hunts, some great custom builds like the Super Vamp, and some great Dio builds like the Dreadnought's Hideout. That was wonderful. You can also catch him live every Tuesday at 9 p.m. on his channel. He's also one third of the Backyard Battlefield with our friends of the show, Krusty Old Crow and 3 Star Draw. He's one of the most generous guys I've ever seen or have come across on the Toyverse, and I'm very happy to sit here and talk some figures with him tonight. Please welcome to the show the one, the only, Aaron the Toyenhancer. What's up, brother?
What's up, man? Thank you for all the kind words. That's very nice of you,
Uh,
Tony. I appreciate it.
buddy,
And
it's been a
like you said, it's a long time coming. I've been so busy, and I've been wanting to get on the show with you. I'm glad that we're finally able to do
hell
it.
yeah, dude. And I'm excited to sit here and talk some figures with you. So I'll do what I always do, and I'll ask you the first question I ask everybody, which is
Mm.
what got you into collecting? What was the line? And when did it start? Now, I don't usually mean like when your parents were buying you toys, when you started buying your own toys and you knew. Yeah,
When we started adult collecting.
exactly.
Okay. I can remember the time precisely, and it was when me and Missy got together. So I'd say 16 years
Oh,
ago.
wow. Okay.
All right, 16 years ago. And what did it for me is we were in a KB toy store at the
Oh, yeah.
mall. Just hanging at the mall, new couple. That was the thing to do. Let's go to the
Yeah.
mall. Whatever, just walk around. I go into KB toy stores, and there was the GI Joe 25th
Yes, sir. Oh,
anniversary
right on.
sitting there. I've never seen it
Yeah.
before. I wasn't even, I wasn't even thinking about collecting toys at this point. I was more so focused on maybe living and partying at this time, right?
Yeah.
Paying my bills and partying.
Yeah.
And I saw Bazooka there in the package. It was the 25th anniversary, and I was like just blown away by the repackaging. The figure looked new, and I was just like, "Whoa, wow, man!" And that's when I started, you can say, adult
Collecting. Yeah.
collecting. And then of course when you see these things and they come rushing back to it as an adult, then you're thinking about the other toys you
Yeah.
had when you were a kid, and you're like, oh
Yeah.
man, eBay starts popping up, and it does nothing but escalate from
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. So it was, you're GI Joe through and through, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm a true blue GI Joe. It's probably my most. I'm gonna say this. It's the line that I spend the most money on.
Yeah, for sure. Right.
That's a known fact. And I have other toy lines that I'm fond of, but they may have not put out enough. And we all know GI Joe is one of the biggest toy lines there
It
is.
always has been.
I
Right.
mean,
I mean, let's be honest.
mammoth,
Yeah.
mammoth.
Because I remember when we were kids, man, that GI Joe took up half the aisle in Toys R Us.
Oh yeah, you'd go in there and it'd be the whole damn wall just lit up with freaking boxes. Sometimes you'd have to get help. You do.
Yeah.
I need that box. you
Hell
know,
yeah. That was
you bring the ladder over. They get it down
yeah,
for you.
fucking good old days, brother, for real. Um,
Yeah.
so is it just GI Joe, or do you have some? Because I see some Sentinels on the back there. Is it Marvel? Do you collect some Marvel
Oh
Legends?
yeah. Well, of course, and even when we're talking about back then in the 16 years ago when I started picking up heavy collecting, even then, like Voltron. Voltron was such a big part of my childhood. This is a black
Oh
lion
yeah,
that I never had, but I had some of the other
yeah,
lions. But as kids, we would put our lions together. Whoever had the which lion with whatever. Sometimes we had doubles. Sometimes it's who was playing that day,
yeah,
and we would form Voltron and play. Sometimes we got lucky and we could do two Voltrons,
yeah,
and everyone would take their toys at the end of the day, and we do it again the next day,
yeah,
and just so on. And even with GI Joe, we'd be like, okay guys, let's go home, everyone go get their Joes, and we're gonna meet back at the creek, and we're gonna set up and play all day. And that's what we literally did all day. Our
yeah.
parents just let us, as long as we were in by the time the streetlights came on, we were
Cool.
cool.
Yeah. So who is your favorite GI Joe then? Who's your favorite GI Joe?
Oh, it had to be At 100%, it's Duke.
Oh,
Duke was one of the first figs that I was able to latch onto, and of course, because I was watching the cartoon, and I'm a 79er, so I came in a little late on the Joe end.
yeah, yeah,
I came in around like 84, 85, and was pumping out. I was able to get figures about that
yeah,
age.
yeah.
5 and 6, I was playing with them. I can remember He-Man. He-Man was another big
Oh,
one
yeah.
that
Oh, yeah.
was being pumped around
Yeah.
at that time.
So
God,
what
the list is
sparked
endless.
the enhancing of toys for you?
That kind of comes with my mechanical background, and I own my own construction company,
Oh, okay.
and it's been going strong for about a good 20 years now,
Congratulations.
and the name of that is called Aaron's Home
Hell
Enhancements.
yeah. Right on, dude.
Okay, so I took the name when I jumped on YouTube, and I was like, I knew that I was going to work on toys, and I have been dabbling with diorama and stuff, and I was knew that this channel was going to go into modification, only because I wanna bring as much as I can, like as far as content
Yeah.
wise, and I've always been really crafty my whole life
Okay.
and real mechanical, and I handle like big, huge aspects. Like I'm a licensed electrician, and I
Wow.
just handle anything that is done in a home we take care of. So if I can do these big projects for the past 25 some years, when I sit down and I have a toy that I can work on, it's more of a relaxing, comfortable feel,
Mm,
and I feel in control of it,
yeah.
and just really comfortable with it. And then that's really how I evolved, was just because of my mechanical background.
Okay.
And I did a lot of RC too, a lot of
Oh, okay.
RC cars for years and years. So you can imagine the paint and the bodies and stuff
Yeah.
that you go through making them for all those, and then your cars, you drive them until they get demolished, and then you have to repair them, and it's it's a process.
Uh, so were you doing RC car stuff before you started collecting? Was that always with you?
Before I was doing car seat stuff on and off most of my life, but really heavy before I started
Okay.
YouTube, let's say.
Oh,
Before I
okay.
was in the RC real heavy before YouTube.
All right.
To the point where you see my whole garage now, and it's covered in diorama and tables and toys, but before that it was covered in
RC cars.
RC. But
Wow.
all that stuff's kind of packed up
Now,
now.
so so I guess it was easy for you to convert that vamp because you knew what you were doing.
Yeah, I was confident. The literally the moment that it got dropped on my doorstep, I pulled the thing out. I set it on my workbench, and we tore it apart. I mean, as soon as it got here,
Wow.
and I knew what I was going to do to it. I pre-ordered my winch, my electric winch and stuff, because I just did use it on a Zartan swamp layer, so I knew that winch was good. It was only a $20 winch. I wanted to put it on there, and I knew the size of it already. So I was like, oh man, this is gonna fit perfect. I
Yeah.
had the feeling, and sure enough, when I put that winch on there, it fit in that
Oh,
vamp
that was such a
perfect.
sweet touch.
Um,
Such a sweet touch.
I had the RC car
Yeah.
that I put on the super vamp.
Yeah.
I had that chassis already because we were dabbling with that vehicle already.
Oh,
So it
wow.
happened to. It was Bobby Wald, as a matter of fact. Bobby Wald, you see him in the chat a lot. He was the winner of the Zartan Swamp
Yeah,
Lair,
we're gonna talk about that.
but he mentioned it, and he was like, "Hey man, um, I wonder if that chassis is gonna fit the vamp." And I was like, "You know what, buddy? We're gonna find out."
Yeah.
And sure enough, so I have to give him the credit on that
Wow.
because he did bring it up.
Dude, that, like, took the thing to the next level, man. When I saw that video, I was
Thank
like,
you.
"Whoa." I was like, "This is what," like, they would've given you, like, a deluxe version or something like that, I think I would've maybe jumped off that, something like that, like an actual drivable vamp, man. When I saw you do that shit, it blew my fucking mind, man, for real. For
Yeah,
real.
thank you, thank
Yeah.
you. We do have so I've loaded it up with gridiron since then, and all
Oh,
the
hell
cool
yeah,
stuff
dude.
that
Yeah.
gridiron, and it's got a little weight to it now, so we are gonna do the super vamp upgrade,
Oh,
which
for
is
real.
gonna be converted to a it's gonna be converted to like a crawler chassis, so we can really do
Kick
some stuff
Oh,
with
wow,
it
that's gonna be
and
awesome,
all
dude.
that.
Hell yeah.
But yeah.
Hell yeah. What was your first diorama build?
The first diorama build that I've done, well, I've done all kinds of little ones since I was a kid
Mhm.
or teenage, but the first one I was like serious
Yeah.
about. And I put a lot of effort and time to the was the Thundercat diorama.
Wow.
That was probably the one that I invested the most time into.
Okay.
And then I escalated into other better dioramas since then, and just it keeps going
Yeah.
and going. That was the first one that I was like, I had a picture in my head, I knew what I
Okay.
wanted, and I made it
Made it
happen.
happen. Isn't that the best, dude? Like when you have something in your head
Yes,
and it comes out exactly as
oh,
you thought.
it's such a satisfying, aspect, and a lot of people are scared to
I
do it,
know.
and
Yeah.
that's another big part of our channel. We are here to tell all the secrets of
Yeah. Yeah.
how and to when. These guys know they can hit me up
Yeah.
anytime and ask me anything, and I'm here to share because it's that feeling of when you accomplish your diorama and you set your figures on it and you're there taking pictures and you can look at it every day.
Mhm.
I have mine in my room. All my
Oh, yeah.
good dioramas are in my room,
Set up?
and I'll go to bed looking
Hell
at
yeah.
them.
That's fucking awesome, dude. Um, when you started building the, Dreadnought, hideout, right? You kinda used
Yeah,
actual, like, materials like wood and other things, right? Instead of just the standard XPS that everybody else uses. So
right,
yeah, so
right, and
were you like me? Do you prefer to use, like, actual, like, wood and others than that instead of just always sticking with the XPS? Because I listen, I like XPS, but sometimes I kinda like to stray away from it and try other practical, tools and stuff.
absolutely. And that was a big part. Like when I do these diorama, and there'll be another one coming up, but when I do these diorama giveaways, it's based on something that somebody is thinking of GI Joe.
Okay.
You'll think of a random scene or a random just whatever, as long as it's GI Joe related, and then we build the diorama for that person. So I get the way it's picked is I get to pick which one I think is the best one to do
Yeah,
and the one, the overall. So anybody could throw any idea out there, and then I'm gonna pick the winner just personally.
yeah,
And that's what we did last year. And I when I picked Zartan Swamp Lair, it was because not only did a lot of people ask for that, like there was 9 people that wanted that.
yeah, wow.
Okay, so how we did it, we took the 9 people, we put them into a container,
Yeah,
and we picked one out. We picked one out because that's the only way I could be
yeah,
fair.
yeah,
And it was the most sought after diorama, and I was like, people really want to see this thing. I was like, I had most of the product in hand. I had wood and balsa wood
yeah,
and shims, and that's what we made it out of. I already had that on hand because I did want to do some kind of building structured and built kind of like a real building
yeah,
is, because we built the walls, we put headers in it, we did everything. We put siding on it,
yeah,
we put a roof on it, all that stuff. And I was like, this is a perfect opportunity because Zartan's lair is just a cabin.
yeah,
I was like, here's the golden opportunity. So I kind of foreseen this, and I had picked up material because I did want to do a structure building, and it just happened to all fall together
yeah,
in the right moment.
yeah.
People were wanting to see it. I had the material. Bam! It's the winner, and I don't know what the next one will be this year, but we'll just have to see from what everyone
Votes
asks
for,
for.
yeah, that's gonna be awesome, man. I like that style of giveaway because it's not only are you giving away something interesting and custom built, but you're actually giving yourself a chance to challenge yourself because you're not picking the diorama. Somebody else is picking it for you. And you're going to be like, all right, well, I don't know what you're going to pick, but I kind of like the idea of doing this diorama. So I'm going to challenge myself. That's pretty impressive, brother, for real.
Thank you,
Yeah.
and I wanted that. I wanted the viewers to get that feeling like, holy crap, he just picked somebody's
Yeah.
diorama. He has probably no idea how he's gonna do it. Is it gonna look good?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it gonna be like a crayon drawing, or
Yeah.
so people. I wanted to do that just to get people to keep, and I broke it down in 4 parts just to get them
Yeah.
come check this out. When I'm ready with a video, come check this out. And then of course it was really fun for Bobby because he knew that he was getting all this at the
Mhm.
end, and it just evolved. And honestly, every time I do start a diorama, I have a base idea. I have a base idea that I start
Yeah.
with, but it actually takes shape and evolves as I do it.
Oh,
These
yeah.
ideas come to me, and it escalates from there.
Yeah. So, like, so you start a diorama project, right? and then you start to feel,
Mhm.
I guess, some of the vibes. You're like, maybe I want to try something new here, and then you run out and you do it. That's I'm the
Yes.
same way, brother, for real. Like I'll have like an
Yep.
idea, like all right, like let's say I want to build a city building, right? And as I'm building the city building, I'll start to think, all right, well, it's going to need like air conditioning, it's going to need all the piping, and that to me, that I always tell people when building dioramas, it's easy to build a wall. Any wall can be
Mhm.
built. It's the devil's in the details. So you gotta have, like, all that
Yeah.
little stuff because when they have that little stuff, that's when people go, "Whoa, that came to life right there,"
E
because it looks legit.
exactly.
Yeah,
It could be a little storm drain, it
exactly,
could be a little window, it could be a brick that got knocked out,
exactly.
it could be anything,
Yeah.
just whatever you wanna add, and it's really, like, how far you wanna go,
Mhm.
and, I'll say a lot of my, dioramas aren't as detailed as other diorama builders are as far as maybe paint or wash
Yeah,
or
yeah, yeah.
anything, but I like to especially on my Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle diorama, I like to have a cartoony feel to it,
Okay.
like it's kinda out of the
Yeah,
cartoon.
yeah. Well, that's good because 'cause it'll match some of the turtles too, because the turtles are very cartoon.
Oh yeah, yeah, looks
Mhm.
great. But there, I know other, and I probably will do some dioramas that are insanely
Like,
lifelike
yeah,
detailed.
yeah.
But like Vasco Toys,
Yes, so I just spoke to him not too long ago, he's
yes,
very good.
he, oh my goodness, and I seen him at Joe Fest.
Yeah.
I praised him so much. I don't think he realizes how much I truly love his channel.
Yeah, I know, dude.
he is he's just
He
amazing, and the amount of detail and work,
Yeah.
like it blows my
Dude,
mind.
it
Blows my
impressed me
mind.
when I got to speak to him. He was so, like, well spoken and just so, like, passionate about it. And
Very,
that's really what it comes down to is
yes,
being passionate about it. Because at the end of the day, like
yeah.
he said, he was very adamant about it too. He said it was a hobby. It's
Yeah.
just a hobby that he does, you know? And to me,
Yep.
like, that like, listen, I saw his Rambo dial and I saw, like, his a lot of his
Yes, the
DBZ
cliff.
because his DBZ, is really his bread and butter, is and he'll tell you that. Um, they were all so spot on. Like, so, like I
Yes.
said, devil's in the details because he pays attention to every little detail that will really make that diorama come to life. When you put an action figure on it, that scene now comes to literal life because everything is
And
correct.
I have to say, a complete gentleman. When I went
Absolutely.
to his booth,
Yeah.
he let me record anything I wanted. We got to chat with him a little bit. Of course, he was busy, he
Yeah.
was busy chatting. But, I think it was even, like, his anniversary or some kinda YouTube anniversary or
Yeah,
whatnot,
yeah.
and just a complete gentleman. I mean, answered any question, and, yeah, it was an honor to meet him.
That's one of the things that I appreciate about this whole Toyverse community fellowship. It's one of the most welcoming. You guys are always welcoming. You never nobody shuns nobody. Obviously, we have some drama within certain groups and things of that nature. But at the end of the day, the real ones tend to kind of find the real ones, and we all stick together and all kind of support each
Oh,
other
yeah.
and let each other know that we all have a common goal. It's toys, whether it's building dioramas, just collecting, playing with them, whatever it is. We all have that common goal, and we all find each other. Because I always ask guys when they come on the show, "What do you think are some of the negatives to toy collecting?" And a lot of times
Right,
people will
right.
say different things. So I'm gonna ask you that question. What do you think some of the negatives are to toy collecting?
Some of the negatives on toy collecting, I'd say I the most negative thing that I see in toy collecting is when somebody puts a value on their collection and then expects to get the exact, or treats it like it's a, how do I want to word this? Treats it like it's an investment.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
you should never be like, okay, I got 10 grand in toys, I got a 10 grand it's never,
No, yeah,
never going to be that.
yeah.
And of course you'll never get the dollar value of what you put into it. We sometimes see it like, oh, okay, I got this toy and it's so hard to get. 10 years later I did make a little money. We see that happen, but you should never be like counting on that. Like, don't
Mhm.
think of your toy collection. It should be Your toy collection should be something that like makes you happy and you
Absolutely.
love it, and honestly, like something that like you wouldn't never part with,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it means so much to you. And then when I see people that are like that do need the money, or they break down. And I know shit happens. I
Yeah.
know stuff like that happens. And look, I need to make $1. I lost my job. I gotta sell this stuff. I know I've been in that situation.
Yeah.
It's when you get lowballed like crazy in those desperate times that you need money,
Mm.
that really bugs me sometimes when I see this. And it's like I've seen the complete soul ripped out of people because they had to part with their collections. And what it led to for a couple people that I knew personally, it led to a little bit of depression,
Big time.
man.
Yeah.
And actually I've had some friends that had to part with things because they needed the money.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've given them I've given them parts of their collect just as gifted because I knew that they sold something they really loved.
Yeah.
And
Well, you.
I wanted them to have that
Yeah.
feeling back. And I told them, if you ever need to part with it, just let me know.
Yeah.
But I want to give you this.
Yeah.
And if you ever need to sell it or something, and I just wanted you to, and of course they they're really
Yeah.
appreciative of it,
Dude,
and
that's
they realize how much they do love
yeah,
these
it's amazing,
things.
brother. Like, listen, when you give these things away, it's like you're giving a piece of your soul because it stays with you forever. Like when I do play motion, photography, whatever it is, when I'm playing with the toys, it takes me back to when I was a child in my apartment in Queens, sitting with my parents on the floor just playing.
Yes,
So I'm in a safe space.
times were
Yeah,
simple. Yeah, safe.
safe
That's what
place.
I was just
Mm,
safe and simple, and
yeah,
it's such a like a good feeling, man,
yeah,
especially with the hustle and bustle we have to do on the daily basis of paying bills, maintaining family situations, whatever it may be. We need that comfortable escape once in a
yeah,
while just to put our mind at ease. And for me, I mean, it's been completely, therapeutic
for
and
real.
just beautiful.
Well, it's like anything. Like when you start building a dio or customizing a vehicle or a figure, like me and Krusty O'Crow were talking about it. It's so just therapeutic in that in itself. Forget about just playing with the toys or
Yeah.
collecting. It's just when you start building something, not only is it therapeutic, it's gratifying, and at the end,
Oh
you
yeah.
have something. Like you have something to show for it, and whether it's just a simple brick wall for your action figures, just so it doesn't look plain behind a shelf, or if it's a full on cave set for a Rambo figure, it's at the end of the day, to me, this whole thing, whether it's collecting, it's all about a piece of you. This is what it makes you
Yes.
you. So when you give that away, you're giving a piece of you away, and there's an empty spot there. And I know a lot of people tend to go, well, it's just a toy, or it's just this, and it's just that. Yeah, they're just things. They're just things, but it's what the thing represents. The thing represents
Or the
safety. That's what it is. You're giving
or,
away that safety net.
or the memory,
Yes,
the
yes,
memory of that toy.
yeah,
And then I mean, I have lots from when I was a kid, and I swear I can still remember going to the doctor's office and playing with these toys on like a wooden bench or
yeah,
whatever, a windowsill, whatever I was next to.
yeah,
And when I was with my mom when I was a kid, I can still remember all those
yeah.
times. And then I look at this toy and I'm like, man, I carried that thing in my pocket all the time when I was a kid. And yeah, just it's good
Is hell
memories.
yeah,
It's
dude.
good memories.
Well, when you were a kid, did you tend to like build bases for your Joes or like whatever
Oh,
action figure?
absolutely.
So did you kind of like
Oh, absolutely.
because you're kind of like me, man? Because when I was a kid, I was big. I was obviously big into wrestling, being part of the wrestling business. But when
Mhm.
I used to collect the old school Jack Pacific figures. They came out in the mid '90s, and I would
Yeah.
want them to fight WCW guys, but the WCW figures didn't scale because they were just a completely different company. So I would start
Yeah.
kit bashing. Had no idea that that's what it was. You know.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Then I
To
built
to tear them apart and put new parts
exactly
on them, or even sometimes we had to fix them, you
fix
know?
them. Yeah, exactly. And then Did you ever notice that like where you're like building things now? You look back and you go, "Son of a bitch, I was doing this all along." Like I just didn't
Well,
realize it.
oh, yeah, I definitely didn't realize what I was doing, or, we didn't know about obviously didn't know about kit bashing or even diorama for that matter, but everybody was taking the shoebox
Hmm.
and cutting the holes in it, and then setting up the forts. And then we would be outside making teepees out of sticks and
Yeah,
stuff. We didn't care. It was G.I. Joe, we're just making little huts and
yeah, yeah.
stuff. And we were we were diorama
Building, yeah,
building as kids, and we didn't know it, and it was just our normal play. And this is something that, like, I feel bad for I try to enforce it with my kids, but kids just don't do this
They don't.
nowadays.
No, they don't. No, I got 5 nephews, and none of they have their face buried in an iPad or a video game system. I mean, listen, did I was
Yeah.
I blown away by Sega Genesis and Nintendo? Of course, but like
Oh
I
yeah.
always
Yeah,
made
we
time.
played
Yeah,
Nintendo.
I always made time for imagination. Like I always, whether it was action figures, drawing, whatever it was, I always made time for that, for my mind to kind of think on its own, because I didn't want the video game to provide the imagination for me. I wanted to kind of come up with it on my own. And I feel like that's lost on the youth nowadays. I hate to sound like the old man on the, get off my lawn, but sometimes I feel like, it's lost on the youth. Like when you see toy aisles, kids just do not give a shit about toys. They do not care at all.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to
And
me.
a big part of toys is like of course when we played with them we would get these like action scenes in our
Yeah.
head
Oh,
and we
oh
would
yeah.
plan out these things. So what we're doing is like and I do it a lot at work is like when I'm about to go talk to a homeowner I rethink, okay, I have to bring this up to the homeowner, that up to the homeowner, and I'm what I'm doing is I'm replaying like how things should go when I get to this homeowner's
Yeah.
house, so I'm prepared on what to say. And toy playing did a lot of prep work for that because we were playing out these scenarios in our heads as
Yeah.
kids. And it really for me it led into adult life, just being able to forethink of how something should go, plan it out. And I mean I still use it to this day,
Yeah.
so I worry about that sometimes. And I think that children nowadays might be a little different because they're not playing out these scenarios. The scenarios are already played out for them
Yes. Yes.
with toy, and it's like prefabbed. They're just inserting it into their head. They didn't have to think it up
Yeah.
and create it.
Yeah.
And that I think creation might be a little lost from kids not playing with
Yeah.
toys. This and again, I probably never had this conversation before, but these are things that I think about.
Oh no, definitely I do too, man. Because like especially now with the way AI is going, and it's making things even easier to make music, to make movies, to make anything, animation. So it's making it
Right.
much easier for someone to not really think. It just put into like a
And
type, and then it'll do it for you. Whereas, like I said, when we were kids, man, like you said, because I was the same way. I would build everything, whatever I could make a fort out of. If I was in the woods, the tree was what they would. I a tree house. Like I would think in my head, I would see these scenes as a child, and this guy's going to jump off this, and Superman's going to fly in and save him, and I would literally, I would first, I'd drive my friends crazy because I would tell them like, well, you can't play like that because this has to happen. So I would be telling them
yeah,
like storyline type stuff, right? Like, that guy can't die now because he's got to die at this point because that's how this superhero or whatever is Iron Man, has to save the day. But he does like, and they were like, "What?" Because I was already seeing it in my head. And as I got older,
yeah,
now, like you said, you apply that kind of level of thinking, and yeah, well, okay, well, I have to go do this. I may have to make sure A, B, and C is taken care of because God forbid this happens, and now I make sure I
yes.
have this backup plan and things like that because I don't want nothing to go wrong. So it's like,
Planning, and in a sense, it's like we're getting lazy with our
yes,
imagination
oh
nowadays.
yeah, oh
You
yeah,
know,
yeah. And now,
that's how I feel.
if you I have to ask this question, right? Let me figure it out. If you were going to teach a diorama class, right? Let's say, because I notice
Mhm.
some of our good buddies that watch the streams and stuff like that, guys like Revens, they're new
Mhm.
to the diorama building, right? What would be the first diorama you would tell somebody to build? Would it be a city building? Would it be a cave? What would you be? What would be your first suggestion to a novice?
To a novice, I would go with something simple like rock formation,
Yeah,
maybe just simple pieces of rock. Maybe some background, like some plant work. Um, just some of the basics like that. When I do, I think the most important thing to consider when you're building a diorama is, are you building it for shipping across the
yeah, yeah,
states, or are you going to build it for durability to stay in your home?
yeah,
So that's the most important thing. Do I have to ship this? Is it for someone else, or is it going to be in my home and I don't care what the hell the thing weighs? Because that plays a big factor in how your diorama comes out
yeah.
sometimes.
Absolutely.
I like to start mine in a 4 foot by 2 foot um, framed out box, And the only reason I do that, I have the exact measurements, is because when I build my in-house dioramas and they're 4 foot wide by 2 foot tall,
Yeah.
I'd like to stack the different levels so I can have like 3 or 4 dioramas
Stacked.
stacked.
Right on.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're made out of plywood, so the casing, the box is made out of
Yeah.
plywood. So I know I can do that, and then all the weight's going to be taken care
It'll
of,
be
and
solidified.
still have.
That's right on, dude. Yeah. So you're basically building like diorama shelving, essentially.
Yes. Yeah, it's I build mine so there's the same size, they're stackable. Now I have other dioramas that you see on the review table and stuff that are I just move them
Yeah.
around because you'll see my review table can look different from a city building to a
Yeah.
castle
Yeah.
to rocks to I just switch it up all the time. It depends on what I'm reviewing.
Yeah.
And I'll switch that table around a lot. But in my room I have stacked like turtles,
That's awesome. Yeah.
Thundercats, GI
That's
Joes.
actually a brilliant idea, brother. Like I never even thought of it
Thank
like that.
you.
If you build essentially props and you just start stacking them, you can essentially stack little scenes.
Right, and then, on the different levels, I can put lights,
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
top, and so the dioramas are all nice and lit
Yeah.
up afterwards, and it's just a whole like, I could stack, like, 4 high, in my room, and,
Wow.
yeah, it
Dude,
works
that's
great
awesome. That's
for
a
me.
brilliant idea. I might have to.
But I'm not shipping these,
Yeah. Yeah.
they weigh a
A lot
lot.
of money. Oh, I assume because you're building it out of wood, you know?
Three-quarter plywood,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, so that thing ain't going nowhere. Jesus Christ, 3/4 inch.
Yeah, it takes 2 people to pick it up
Yeah.
and stack
Holy shit.
it.
What would you say was your favorite one out of all those shelving dioramas you made?
Oh, the turtles,
Yeah.
the Ninja Turtles one. It's really like I did a sewer one, and honestly, it is versatile. It's totally screams turtles, but I could still throw GI Joe in the sewer.
Yeah, it's true,
I could
very true.
still throw a werewolf in the sewer. I could throw a monster in the sewer.
Yeah, yeah.
It's versatile.
Hell yeah. Do you swap out or do you usually just leave figures where they are in terms of, display?
Um, for the most part, the Thundercats stay in the Thundercat one, and the Turtles stay in the Turtles one. But when I do like a review, or maybe I want to snap some pictures, I'll clear them out, and they all have their own um boxes and stuff. Like I keep like those plastic ammo crates,
Oh,
that you
okay.
put ammo in,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
they're just plastic. You can buy them cheap at Ross.
yeah,
I'll just tuck them all in those, and then I'll set up whatever I want on the dial, and then I'll put them back up.
yeah.
And I'm constantly moving toys and redoing toys and putting them on this shelf and that shelf, not only to clean because things do get dusty. We
Yeah,
all know
oh, yeah.
that. And if you're like me, it drives you nuts. But things get dusty, we dust them off, we clean them. That's just a part of collecting that I've accepted.
Yeah,
And I have fun doing it sometimes. I'll be in the room and my wife may be like folding clothes on the bed, and I'm just, tinkering with the toys and dusting them and taking them off. And we're just sitting there talking, having a
good
good
time, yeah. Me and my wife are the same way. While I'm playing with toys, I got her on the couch and we're just talking. Yeah.
yeah.
There's just something therapeutic about it. Again, it goes back to that, right? For real, for real.
Yeah.
I love that. So let me ask you this, man. What is the next diorama on the horizon? If you don't have to give everything away, because I know you're gonna have videos on your channel, but what would you can give someone just a little taste. What do you think you're gonna be?
There there is a big project that a couple people know about,
Okay.
and it's coming up, and I don't think in an aspect it is a diorama because it is going to be so huge
Oh wow.
that
Okay.
you can't move it without multiple people. So it
Yeah.
is a diorama setup in my mind.
Yeah.
But and I've brought it up before. I'm actually gonna crack it. I'm gonna crack open the fiberglass resin, and I'm gonna start carving the foam.
Oh wow.
Probably within the next couple weeks, but it is going to be a classified version of the mothership.
Get out of here. Are you serious?
I shit you not. It's gonna be mammoth.
Where
I'm gonna.
the hell
I
are you gonna
don't.
put that thing?
Here's the thing. I don't know how long it's gonna
Yeah.
take. I did see the cardboard version while I was at Joe Fest. I actually got, I'm sure you've seen the cardboard version that has been made of the huge
Yeah,
mothership.
yeah, yeah. I think I've seen it. Yeah.
I got to go and get an on hands look. I'm
Wow.
very surprised they didn't rope that off better and protected it a little better. It's like you could just walk in the room and see whatever. But they should. The Joe Fest should have roped that. I just wanted to bring that. But I did see that. It looks great, but it is just a cardboard version.
Yeah.
I want to build something that's more play like. toy
Yeah.
like and a little more rigid, might say. I think all the motherships that we have seen, especially from Super 7 and whatnot, had just been a little too rounded. I guess I want to say the mothership. You got to think planes and flight pods
Mm.
and fangs were able to land on top of this thing, and it was a platform, and you would see scenes where they're coming through with a skyhawk, and they're
Yeah.
being chased, and we know how big this thing is. um I'm gonna get it to the real scale size? Hell no, but it's gonna be
Close.
close. It's
Yeah.
gonna be big, but it's gonna be. Here's the thing about my mothership: it's gonna be GI Joe classified through and through, and it's gonna be playable.
Oof.
You're gonna be able to play on it. It's
Yeah.
gonna have a lot of interior stuff
Oh wow.
and
So you're
just
going real into it.
it's gonna be epic. I have a lot of huge plans that I've been writing down. We had some great ideas that I've been storming with some other people, and I may even get some help on it. And here's the thing: I don't know how long it's gonna
Yeah.
take me, but when I get it done, you'll know
You'll
it.
know. Hell yeah.
You'll know
Dude, that's an exciting
it.
project. Just off the top of your head, what do you think the dimensions will be?
We're shooting for at least taking up an 8 foot table. I have to keep it within standards of where I can put it in, like in an enclosed trailer when we do travel it to Joe Fest or
Yeah.
whatnot, or any convention that we take it to.
Awesome.
But yeah, it's gonna. I hope that it just turns into the most epic piece that I've ever
Oh, that
built,
definitely will be.
and it will sit in a room
Yeah.
or my garage, and I I I I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm gonna be playing on
Hell
it,
yeah, you
man. I'm
better.
gonna be playing on it.
Hey, you
it's
better,
it's
dude.
more mainly for me,
Yeah. Dude, I'm I
but I'm gonna
I'm glad
share
that
it.
I'm glad that you're doing something that ambitious because 'cause I'm about to take on something just as ambitious as you. I wanna build the GI Joe tactical battle platform out
Oh,
of
yeah.
for classified. Now, my, I had gotten an 85-inch TV, so they
Mhm.
have this big piece of styrofoam. I mean, the thing is gigantic that was sitting up against the screen to make sure nothing happened to it, and when I
Yeah, yeah, safety,
yeah,
safety.
when I took it and flipped it this way, I was looking at it, I'm like, "Jesus Christ, this thing is literally the base of it. It's the platform. It's perfect.
Oh,
You
wow.
just gotta add the helipad and just like the missiles, the gun turret, and the crane. And the crane, it was crazy because I bought that WWE truck that had the swinging chain thing, the crane. And when I picked
Yeah,
that
yeah.
thing up, I said, "This is the crane part for that base." So I already have most of the stuff just laying around. So I was like, "Oh man, this has to be my next project. Like I have to try."
Isn't that isn't that awesome when you can just see something and you're like,
Yeah,
"Ooh," and the freaking bulb goes off and you're like,
yeah,
"Oh, I can
yeah,
make something out of that." I love that
dude.
feeling, man, and
Bro, I threw out my like my
mm,
nephews just have a bunch of trash, so they had a bunch of like Hot Wheels tracks. So I found a bunch
yeah.
of like racking and shit, and I'm like, "Oh my god, this can hold up the goddamn helipad." So it all like coincides perfectly with each other, and I was just like, "This has to be the next project. It has to be the next project." So that's going to be my next project. Like you said, you don't know how
That's
long it's going to
awesome.
take because it's going to be huge. And my goal is to just try to build like legs the way it has, so that I can take it out on one. We live right by a lake, like a park with a lake. I
Yeah.
would love to put it
Yeah,
in
set
the
it
water.
up in the water.
Oh, dude, you have no idea.
Bro.
I got
I wish I was there with you, and you are from, the New York is it New
yeah, yeah,
York
yeah,
you're
yeah, yeah.
from?
I'm from
You
Queens, and
are from the New York area. I'm from upstate New
yeah,
York, and when I found out you were up there too, I was like, "Oh, man, he's up there where I used to live," you know?
dude, for real.
We used to go to Finger Lakes all the time
Oh
and
yeah,
have good old times up there when I
hell
was
yeah,
a kid, but, I love the North, man. We would play hockey all winter, and then we would fish all
oh
summer,
yeah,
and
hell yeah,
it was when you hear New York, you think of New York City, and
yeah.
that's just the smallest part
It
of
really
New
is.
York,
It
and
really is.
it's all farm and country upstate New York where I'm from,
Yeah,
and I like we had a my grandma lived on a street where like basically the whole family had a house on the road,
wow.
and from my uncles to my cousins and everyone, and they all had their own businesses going, and we had cow pastures and ponds right next to
Yeah.
us, and we would literally get up in the morning, shovel the snow off of the pond. It'd be frozen solid, and we would just play hockey all
Oh,
day
that's
or
great,
skate
dude.
or just hang
That's
out. It
awesome,
was
man.
cool.
That's all I can only
What
imagine
did
what
you
the toy, what like the toy scenes would be like on that pond and stuff like that. Because I go,
Yeah, they were epic.
yeah,
There was a lot of that wolf and there was a lot of polar bears out there. Yeah, you better believe it, man. We were having a
dude, that's
blast.
awesome. Because when I was a kid living in Queens, I didn't have that luxury because I was always into like scenery. Like I always loved to paint a scene
Mhm.
with toys, whether it was as a kid or as an adult now, especially now as an adult, obviously. But as a kid, I just hated like because my environment was all concrete. So you couldn't really do much with
Yeah,
Joe's because we didn't have no garden or no like lawn or anything like that. So when I moved up here, immediately I wanted to take my figures outside. Immediately. And I was always thinking in my head, like, what would be a cool base for the GI for something, whether it's GI Joe, Marvel, whatever it is, for them to come to. And I always kept landing on that damn tactical battle platform because it always seemed the easiest to make. So I always kept landing on because I know they obviously have that one base that you have, I think, on your shelf behind you, which is like that big metal wall looking base thing.
yeah. This is a mini version of the
Yeah.
base we see on like the
Yeah,
cartoons.
yeah, yeah. But I was like, that's too big, you know. So I was like, what kind of this thing is doable, and this thing doesn't won't take much space up, and I'm gonna try to make it modular so you can take things apart and kind of just like put it away so that I don't have any issues with it. Because once I'm thinking because that square is about, I would say 4.5 feet by 4.5 feet. It's a pretty big square. When you add the helipad, the two weapons, the crane part, now you're looking 6 by 6, maybe almost 7 feet, like all the way around. So I'm like,
Yeah.
you where are you gonna put that? I don't really have a giant space for that, so I would have to make it modular. So like I said, those are the challenges that I'm gonna find myself with. But
Yes.
I'm excited to undergo it, man. I'm excited to see where it's gonna take me.
And space always is a big
Yeah,
factor. Obviously I build big dioramas and I'm like, where am I gonna put it or whatever. I mean, I truly do just try to find a way to make space for my collection. And
yeah,
yeah, it has consumed a lot of my home,
yeah,
but it also looks amazing because I am able to mount good
yeah,
shelving
yeah.
or like the shelving behind me, all it is 2x10s with really sturdy
It's yeah,
brackets.
yeah,
It's probably the most affordable shelving, and you just pick up the 2x10s at Home Depot,
yeah,
put some stain on them, screw the brackets to some studs in your walls, make sure everything's level. I mean, it's really really clean, easy. It's probably the what you see now is probably the cheapest shelving and looks the best in my
yeah.
opinion. That you can get away with it on a
No,
budget,
yeah, it looks great
on a
behind you.
budget.
I like that.
Because we've all bought shelving over the years,
Yeah,
and even the stuff from Home Depot, or not Home Depot, but even the shelving that you can buy. I bought it from Walmart. That's what sits in my bedroom.
yeah.
It can be expensive,
Oh, it
man.
does. It does. 'Cause I was looking into the fancy ones, like the glass case with the light behind it. Because I was like, all right,
Mm.
well, maybe I'll get these, and then I'll just kind of make my
Oh,
own little set behind it and thing like that. But
oh man, I wish I can get to that for my figures one day, but
it's expensive, so I'm just
that
like, fuck it, I'll just build
that's
my own.
expensive.
Yeah, and I just yeah, I said, fuck it. I got those little, those little like $13 tier shelving thing that you put on a shelf, and then you can have, like stand the action figures behind each other because there's like tiers
Oh
to it.
yeah, yeah.
So
I've got a bunch of those that
yeah,
they work out
they
great,
do, yeah,
man,
they do,
and it maximizes your
yeah.
space because you can get it's like they're all on the bleachers.
Exactly.
So
Exactly. When I saw that, I'm like, all right, this will work. And was able to get like quadruple the amount of figures on the top shelf there. With
and you can see them
yes,
clearly too.
that's really what I
So
wanted because I wanted to be able to, when you're doing the play motion or photography, whatever it is, you want to be able to look and see who you want to work with, and just be able to not have
yeah.
to reach and then knock a bunch over. So you want to like the way I look at it is
Yes.
I want them just so you can see them. I want to use death strokes today, so you just reach over and grab them instead of making sure that none of them all fall because they're all fucking right behind each other. Like I
That's
hated
what
that.
I do too. When I'm picking out my scenes, I'm literally looking at my collection sometimes, and especially here lately, I've been doing a lot of Delta 17 custom figures, and I'll need a certain piece, or
Yeah,
I'll need a strap, or I'll need a gun holster that sits on the left leg,
yeah,
or something weird. And I'm looking at my figures, I'm like, who has this piece?
yeah,
Because I have doubles and
yeah,
stuff
yeah,
of a lot of my figures, and I'll be like, oh, I have an extra one of this figure, and he has the right boot that I want, or the right shin guard, or the right whatever piece I'm looking for, and it's so easy to go through my collection and just be like, okay, he's got the piece, or maybe a piece that I can
Oh,
modify.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's a big. I feel you on that.
What
Looking at it is a big
have
help.
you so now you're making a custom, Delta 17 figures, right? Do you take the
Mhm.
whole figure apart? So let's say you need an arm from somebody, let's say you wanna use these arms on this shirt or whatever. Do you know how to
Yeah,
take those o do you know how to pull the arms off and stuff like that? Because 'Cause I've been wary because I can't stand the
that's
Marvel Legends Gambit. It drives me crazy because 'cause he's
yeah,
got the vinyl cape. So I wanna be able to pull his
yeah,
arms off and put just like a set of like regular arms on there so I can get a fabric cape for him because I really believe,
yes.
and I truly believe this, and I know people may think I'm crazy because everybody loves the Mafex Gambit, but I truly believe if you put a soft goods cape on Gambit, the Marvel Legends Gambit, that'll be everybody's
Uh-huh.
definitive Gambit, like for real, you know?
Gambit is badass. I have the X-Men 97 Gambit.
Yeah.
Um, here's the thing, what I'm fairly new to
Okay.
pulling figures apart
Okay.
and doing my own custom figs, and, I've gone and stripped them down. I've tried the dyeing process, and, what I find is that I'm successful with pulling the arms out half the time. I do heat them up,
Okay.
I do go through the process, but there's little pins and little inserts that go especially on the classified, that peg in
Yeah.
and they're pressured in and they are hard to get in sometimes. I've been successful like I'd say 50% of the time.
Wow.
If I don't have to rip a figure apart, of course we all know legs come off easy.
Yeah, yeah.
Those come off easy. We can pull the legs off. We can get things up around the waist. Um, but pulling the arms, I think for me has been I've been winging off of it and able to get the buck right to the point where I'll pick up a correct
Yeah,
buck
yeah.
to where I don't have to pull my arms.
Okay.
I always got to do head swaps. That's easy.
Yeah.
Drilling holes bigger or putting some clay in there to make the head stay on.
Yeah.
That's simple fixes and stuff. But I do try to shy away from that only because I'm confident with my acrylic paint job.
Yeah.
I seal it. I mean I do a real I've been painting houses all my life, so I'm pretty good with sheen
Yeah.
and the proper paint to use and how to seal it and stuff like that. So I'm pretty confident. And another thing is when you're pulling your figures apart, even when you do put them back together, you got to go back and do the touch up
Oh, yeah.
and thing. It just I think on some of those you do have to pull them apart, but if you can get around it, I'd rather not
Nah,
pull
dude,
mine
well,
apart.
that's the only issue
I'll
I'm
pull the
finding.
legs
That's
crazy.
the only figure whose arms I wanna rip off is Gambit's. Only because I wanna put
Yeah,
skinny arms so I can put a fabric cape on 'em. Other than that, because like I said, that 97 Gambit you have, it's an awesome Gambit. It really is, but to me, it's that stupid vinyl cape that 'cause it hinders a lot of his posability because of, how stiff the cape is. Because Gambit's supposed to be very flexible. He's supposed to be able to kind of flip around and fly around, but you can't really get him in a truly good dynamic pose with that
this,
stupid cape, man.
this cape is just so stiff.
Yeah,
This is I see what you're talking
yeah,
about. It truly takes away from his dynamic posing,
exactly.
and we all know that Gambit can get really crazy because he will just supercharge that
Yeah,
energy, and he'll be doing all kinds of crazy stuff from throwing bikes
mhm,
off and just it's nuts, man. I didn't realize how powerful Gambit was because I'm not a comic book
yeah,
reader.
yeah,
Just gotten into comics recently, and I never was a comic book reader, so the X-Men 97 that came out is what really, really took off for me
yeah.
and set me into that line. And I was discovering X-Men for like the first time,
Wow.
man. I knew about X-Men. I've had Wolverines in the past and stuff, but I didn't truly know it as good as I know
Yeah, yeah,
now.
yeah,
And of course, all my new friends, like Shane with Same Time Toys and Bobby and everybody's been and Crow, everyone's been educating me on
yeah,
toys
yeah.
even further as I go. But yeah, I didn't realize how powerful Gambit
It is.
of a
Yeah,
mutant he really
he's an
was, man.
omega level mutant. But that
Yeah,
dude, that's how
and
I
it's
am. That's
insane.
how I am with GI Joe. Like I'm very like I know like the main guys, but like the lore
Yeah,
and all that other stuff, I don't know nothing about. So guys like Crow, there's a few people out there that are schooling me in terms of GI Joe. So I'm like I'm in the same boat as you. Like I'm a comic book reader, so that's where because I started with Marvel Legends, and the only reason I
right,
started
right.
collecting GI Joe Classified was because I wanted people for for the superheroes to beat up in my photography. So like, oh, maybe I'll just get like this because who I saw it was I think it was at Walmart. It was Gung Ho, and I was like, "Oh, I'll just grab this guy. You know, he looks like a mercenary. He's got the Marine tattoo across his chest or whatever. I think I can use this guy."
Yeah.
So I bring him home and I take him out of the package. I'm trying to set him up in a fight with I think Iron Man it was at the time, and I'm like looking at him and I'm like, "Well, goddamn, this figure looks pretty awesome. Is this what the GI Joes look like?" I didn't remember because I didn't really have the 118 guys because
Right,
I was
right.
always the superhero guy. So I'm like, fucking hey, let me go back and check to see what this is. So I go on Big Bad Toys and I start to see Duke, Scarlet, like the first ones, right? And was it Cobra Commander? Uh, uh, and I'm like,
Yes.
holy shit, these look awesome. I was like, I don't think I can make these guys bad guys. These got I got to collect GI Joe now.
And
And off,
so it was Gung Ho was the first one that clicked you into the
yeah, yeah,
classified,
yeah,
huh?
yeah. And I got
Nice,
the was it
nice.
the one in the original packaging, like he had, yeah,
Yes, the first Gung Ho,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And
And did you pick up the retro card
I did,
one by
yeah, I
chance?
did.
You did? Okay, you do have that one.
Once I
Okay.
start,
I haven't opened that, believe it or
oh,
not. I haven't opened my
I think I
retro.
got him because
Yeah.
I bought something from somebody and they sent that as a free just because they didn't want, so
Oh,
they just gave it to
cool.
me. So I was like, "Oh, shit." But for the most part, like, once I jumped off the cliff, I said, "Yo, I didn't realize." I started watching the cartoon, like, actually paying attention to see who's who. Like, I didn't know who the twins were.
Yes.
I didn't know who, like I didn't fully understand Destro's, like, backstory and stuff like that. I'm like, "Oh, shit, I didn't know he was, like, a weapons manufacturer." I didn't know none of this stuff,
Yeah.
So it's like, "Oh."
Do you ever watch the cartoon on Hasbro,
Yes,
the
the
live
live stream,
streams?
dude,
Like,
I have it on all the time
I
while I'm
put that
working.
on in the background all the
Yeah, I
time.
have it on all the time while I'm working, for real. And I used to think to myself, like, "Well, this is a brilliant idea. They just play the cartoon all day. Why
Oh,
doesn't
yeah.
other like why isn't there like a event?" And then I looked and I found everything eventually. Like they have a Ninja Turtle stream, they have a He-Man stream, and you're like, "Holy shit, they got."
I love that
Yeah,
too because, like, you can just put it on and just random episodes are gonna come on or whatever, and you it doesn't matter to me because I like every episode, so it
exactly.
doesn't matter. I'll just
I'll just
run
sit
it
here
and
and
listen
yeah,
to
I'll
it.
just you can put on the same one over and over again. Like I'll just watch the same thing over and over and over again. It will never bore me. It won't. I won't ever
No.
turn the shit off. Like I love watching. To me, when people ask me, I tell them like cartoons are the only thing that makes sense nowadays. You put it on TV,
Yeah.
nothing makes sense no more. I just rather watch cartoons. At least I know what I'm getting. Like straight up.
Yep.
Like Batman the animated series. What was it?
Oh,
30
I
years
love
it's
that.
been out. It still holds up. You watch it, you go, this thing's still
Yes,
teaching me
that
lessons.
that was a cartoon that was way, way ahead of its
Oh
time.
yeah.
Same with
Oh yeah.
Gargoyles and stuff. These were comics or cartoons that as a kid, like, because we're watching GI Joe and all that stuff, and you'd have like Rescue Rangers and Ducktales, and then you would go to these cartoons, and it's like, oh,
Mm,
wait a minute, we're getting serious.
yeah.
We're getting
Yeah.
a little more into a serious cartoon with the Batman and the gargoyles and stuff. And when Batman and Beyond came out and stuff, and I was just like, I was blown away by that as a kid, and I,
Yeah.
I realized that as a kid, I was like, this is a more serious
Oh yeah,
cartoon.
oh yeah. The funniest thing is when Batman Beyond came out, I was like, I refused. There's only one Batman who meets Bruce Wayne, right? And then I watched it
Yeah,
back as an adult, and the very first scene where Batman pulls a gun on a criminal because he's too old to fight him was so
yeah,
it set me back. Like I was like, holy shit, this was a kid's car. This was a cartoon for kids.
yes,
As a adult, I'm like,
yeah.
that's powerful, like, just to show, like, he's been fighting crime for so long, but now he can't do it no more, that he had to rely
It
on the
had
gun.
like an emotion
Yeah.
coming through that
Oh,
cartoon,
yeah.
like, and I latched onto it as a kid, and I was like, "Wow!" I was like, "This is like different from my other
Oh, yeah.
cartoons," and that's why as a kid I latched onto it, and I was just like you. I was like, "Nah, this ain't the damn Batman I know," and blah blah blah, and then I of course the cartoon would be on, and you'd have your bowl of cereal and
Yeah.
you didn't want to mess with the clicker or get up and change the TV back then because that's mainly what we had to do. But
Yeah.
you know, you would be there and you would just sit there and watch it. And then I just got drawn into it,
Yeah,
man. I was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh man. And then next thing I know, I'm checking to see what time it comes on. I'm writing it down on my little notebook at school. Oh yeah, it's Batman Beyond. This,
This is awesome, man. I'm just listen, you have a further appreciation for it as an adult, but even as a kid, like you didn't understand the messages. Like because when I was a kid and Batman the animated series would come on, it was just Batman, yeah, let's go. But you're watching it now as an adult, and you're like, holy shit, that's actually some powerful messages that they were sending the kids. And like even now as an adult, like I realized that some things I do, whether it's for my wife or for other people, that like my wife says, "That was so nice of you. Why did you do that?" And I said, "Well, that's what Batman would have done, or that's what this
Mhm.
superhero would have done." And
Yeah.
she's like, "Wow." She goes, like, most people don't think like, I was like, well, when I was a kid, that's who really like set me on the straight and narrow was the comic books, the
Yeah.
heroes, and the TV, the
Oh,
cartoons.
absolutely.
Yeah,
That falls with G.I. Joe
yeah,
too. I know you say you didn't catch much of the cartoon as a kid, but G.I. Joe was a bunch of people of different
yeah,
ethnics,
yeah, yeah,
from different places, and it didn't matter, what color you were, how you talked, it didn't matter anything, 'cause these got this the G.I. Joe was coming together as a team
yeah,
to get something done,
mm,
and it didn't matter what color your skin was
yeah,
or anything, and this was literally, like, burnt into me as a kid, and that's why I'm the most unracist person you'd ever meet because I believe in every human is equal. That's a big part with my jujitsu
yeah, yeah,
upbringing
yeah.
too, from training and stuff, man. Everybody is equal,
Equal,
and
yeah.
if you don't have that kind of mindset, then I mean, it's just you'll get nowhere with
No, yeah.
that. But
I
everyone is equal, no matter
yeah, I will
what
say this.
gender, what color.
I will say this. I did watch G.I. Joe as a kid because my dad would wake us up with it. Like he would play because we'd always play
Mhm.
like 6 a.m. and that was our alarm clock. And I would watch it with him. And that's the first thing I remember because like, wow, it's not just about one, it's about a team. It's not one person who
Yes,
it's a team.
a
And you come
team
from
of
anywhere.
just different.
Was it a little, did they push the little stereotypes a little too much sometimes? Yes. But
Well, it was the '80s,
yeah,
man. So
yeah. But it was that's what it was about. Like I told my nephew, I was like, X-Men taught me about racism because they were being judged because they were different. And I didn't like as a kid, you
Yes.
don't understand that until you read something or something comes upon you when you go to school and you start to realize that there are different people out there and you're like, oh shit, this happens to them on a regular fucking basis. It's just like this
Yeah,
book. It's just what it's the and then you understand about the civil rights movement, all that other stuff. You start to have a further appreciation for it and understanding. Comic books did that for me, and that's a lot of people when
yeah,
people shun books like that, and you read comics or you collect toys, it's like these plastic money pits, like literally take me to those comic books which taught me right from wrong. Like that's how deep
yeah,
that affinity you have for these things. Like people don't understand that sometimes.
absolutely.
You
And I didn't have a father figure, when I was young. He left when I was 6.
Yeah,
So I didn't have anyone to, like, I had 3 sisters that I grew up with, and my mom, worked her ass off
yeah,
as a waitress, and, she put herself through college to just make a better life for all of us, really, and, I applaud her every day for it,
yeah,
for putting the effort to make our life better, but yeah, I grew up, I didn't have anyone to teach me these things, and
yeah,
I was literally just picking up from TV or, just interaction with my cartoons and everything, and, it was kind of you weren't as a kid, you're not trying to suck in the subliminal messages of, like when G.I. Joe, and knowing is half the battle, they
yeah,
go through a scenario of a kid, going through something that kids need to know about at the time, whether it be
yeah,
strangers or something like that. And they would teach these lessons, at the end of a right before a commercial or something. You didn't realize at the time, but that was being instilled into your brain, your
yeah,
memory, and you're
yeah,
like, oh, I'm not gonna go talk to that stranger because he might want to abduct me,
mhm,
or him, and they were making us self-aware at a
yeah,
young
yeah,
age.
very. Even He-Man would do it too at the end of every episode, where they would have a special,
Mhm.
like, lesson and stuff like that. And like I said, that's
Yeah,
one of the things that I remember most about those was the lessons. 'Cause you always, as you get older, you make fun of it, like, knowing is half the battle,
yeah,
and that became, like, a big joke for everybody, but, like, it was a
right,
thing that instilled right and wrong from you 'cause, it and, I don't ever tell anybody, like, parents are neglectful, because like you said, your mother's struggling as a waitress to try to put food on the table for you guys, and, like, same thing with my parents. My parents were, from a lower middle class family, so they were at work all the time to make sure that we were alright.
yeah,
So you're watching TV. That's basically what's teaching you and stuff like that. So I sometimes to people, I say, "Don't sleep on cartoons, man. Don't sleep on comic books because they have very positive messages written in those pages, man, about everything."
yeah,
Like I said, sometimes is it
yes,
outlandish? Yes, but that's how they appeal to kids'
right.
imaginations, man.
And you got to remember, I mean, it's a cartoon made for kids, but
Yeah.
it was written by an
Adult.
adult.
Exactly. Exactly. For real, man. And sometimes like you watch SpongeBob and you go, how high were these guys when they wrote this one?
Now there are cartoons, yeah. we
Yeah,
we can
like
get into some. There are the kiddo cartoons, and then
yeah.
but when cartoons have story plots, and we're talking about militaries and stuff like that.
Yeah. There are times though,
I
dude.
guess there is a difference, and
Yeah, for real, for real. For real, for real. So let me ask you this question, man. I think
yeah.
I pretty much know the answer, but I'm gonna ask it anyway because I always ask everybody is how long do you think you'll be collecting? Do you think there's a shelf life on it, or do you think you're gonna collect until the wheels fall off?
Um, I'm I'm definitely gonna collect until the wheels fall
Oh
off
yeah.
at this point. Like we were talking about earlier, there's been certain points where we were, years and years and years ago, where I did sell parts of my collection, and I always regret. And I didn't know the prices of things back then. There's been times where I parted with it, but I can now that I'm more financially stable, I don't think I would part with it at all.
Oh yeah.
Even if hard times did fall on me, I think I'm just more flexible and smart enough now to know how to bail out of those situations, or
Awesome.
or seek another thing besides deterring the or tearing down my collection or selling a part of it. And honestly, my ultimate goal would be like maybe one of my kids will find interest and keep
Oh
the
yeah.
channel going possibly for me. That would be the ultimate
Goal.
for me. And then of course they would receive the collection,
Oh yeah.
at that point.
Awesome, man.
Yeah, it's going with me until the end, man. And then yeah, I'd hate to say it, but someone's gonna have to deal with it, or just inherit it.
That's basically what I told my wife. I said, "Babe, this is
Five
all yours."
kids.
Yeah, I said, "This is all." I said, "I can't take it with me, so it's all yours." I said, "You do what you want. You want to sell it? You
Yeah.
want to keep it as a,
Yeah, if they decide to sell it at then, no hard feelings if they want to keep it.
Yeah,
If they want to continue the channel, I got 5 kids. I'm sure somebody's gonna want to do something with it.
yeah, yeah." I
I'll
got,
have it all. I'll have it all marked down.
yeah. I have to ask you a question. How many levels are you gonna make the mothership?
The mothership is going to be at least two tiers
Okay,
inside of it. It
okay,
is going to have two. We might do a third upper. It depends. I'm going to start with the head of it and everything, because for my idea is like, how the head of the mothership sits, and it's that nice snake
yeah,
head.
yeah, yeah.
And I want that to kind of like swing open so you can get into the cockpit nice.
Awesome.
You
Okay.
can get into the inner side of it,
Yeah, yeah,
so I'm kind of designing this. I mean, no one's designed it, so
yeah,
it's all like up in my head. And I got a lot of ideas. Another major idea that I have to incorporate in there is like the scene where we see Cobra Commander going through the windshield. So the eyeball windshields, I want to make them so they are hinged. They're hinged, and maybe in like a diamond pattern, and they will expand. I want that figure to go through my window, man.
yeah.
I know that sounds complicated, and they're like, how are you going to do that? But that's one of the things that I've already sorted out on how I'm going to do it, and
Awesome.
just the construction of those little aspects. And we'll add and go more
Yeah,
as we go. We'll add more to it and explore the ideas. But main thing when you're building something like this is stability, of
yeah,
course,
yeah,
of the structure. Make sure it's all supported. I am going to have to do a lot of it out of fiberglass. It's going to have a lot of ASB in it. It might have some 3D printed stuff in it.
yeah,
It's going to be an assortment of different components to make this thing pull off, because you got to think I'm shooting for playability.
yeah,
Playability, so everything has to function, work, and operate right without things falling apart.
yeah,
So it's going to be a process,
yeah.
but I'm confident.
You're
I'm
ready.
pretty
You're
confident
ready.
with
It's
it.
awesome, dude. Um,
Yeah.
you now I overheard you say you're gonna put it in a trailer. You plan on taking it like to display at conventions? Is that is like the goal with it?
Oh, absolutely. I don't know if I'll have it ready for next Joe Fest. Like I said, I don't know how long the
Yeah,
project's going to take, but it's crazy because sometimes when I get into projects, sometimes I will dedicate all my free time to it and push through it. It just depends. but yeah, we're gonna take it places. I want people to see it.
Oh yeah,
I want them to walk right up to it and touch it, and I just want them to. It's gonna be like a just a piece of art,
oh yeah.
that I want to share with everyone.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I know. Many years ago, there was this guy from Texas. He made an actual life size Saiyan pod from Dragon Ball Z, and he took that to all
Yeah.
the cons, and people would come and take pictures in front of it. To me, dude, that's a brilliant idea. Like I said, if
Thank you.
somehow we can coincide, and if I can finish my battle platform as you
We need to
finished,
get them
get them
together.
together. That's exactly what I'm thinking, dude. Maybe we'll like converge on a toy show together and kind of set them up next to each other because I would love it. I
That would be
I've
awesome.
asked a few people like Duarte Studios and a couple guys because I always had this idea in my head for kind of like an art gallery, but just dioramas, like people's
Yes.
dioramas. Like,
That would be awesome,
yeah, and
man.
call it like I ever have a name for it too. It's called the diary. Obviously, we spell DIO. It's a diary. So it's like because
Yeah.
it's people took a lot of time and put a lot of shit into this thing, whatever it is. And I think that if you
Yeah.
display it, you could listen, you could auction them off, you could sell them to people, doesn't matter. That'd be up to whoever, graciously would come in and display their pieces in this area. But
That would be awesome.
yeah,
A diorama museum.
yes.
Wow, that would be
Yeah.
epic, man. Now we're
Yeah,
talking.
I'm thinking about, like, maybe like because I know a lot of times at, like, WrestleMania, they'll have, like, WWE Hall of Fame, like a section at, like, their access where it's just, like, a little area. So maybe at, like, toy shows, you can get a spot and just have all the
Yes.
diorama makers, submit a piece, and you just kinda have it set up at like, couple tables, like, a couple table area off.
Yeah.
I think that would be I listen, I hope it happens. I'm gonna try to speak it into existence because I know, like, I'm starting to meet
Yeah.
a lot of diorama makers like you, Vasco Toys, Duarte, and every every diorama maker I've met, we've all made something completely different. Like
Yeah.
nothing is the same.
A
Everybody
and
has
it shows you how the
it
imagination
works.
can just take off,
Exactly,
man, and it
exactly.
works different for other people.
Yeah.
But, man, that's a great idea. I would yeah. Man,
I'm
if
gonna
that ever
compile
happened.
everybody together because I was even saying like it could be dioramas and custom action figures because those are little works of art as well.
Yeah.
Like I see the Delta 17 custom you have on the table right now. That was you took time and
Yeah.
effort to, like you said, look at your figures. What part can I use? What part can I modify? How do I have to make this certain head fit on this body? What am I going to add to this?
Mhm.
Like that all in itself is art, whether you want to admit it or not, because
Yeah.
it's an action figure. It's all art to me. It's all like
Yeah.
it's a sculpture. That's all what action figures are. They're sculptures that can kind of articulate, right?
And And putting them together and people meeting up, I'm all for that.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
We've been talking about that lately because I have army building contest
Yeah,
coming
yeah,
up, and, a lot of my friends that are entering, they're like, "Man, it'd be cool for us just to get to wo together and put our armies together one day,
yeah, yeah,
and put them display them in a magnificent, huge, and of course, when it's hard to get pictures when you do have a lot of figs, but
mhm,
from
yeah,
panning scenes, and I've developed a tiny bit. I'm just on the brink of editing and filming and all that, and we're
mhm.
about to get some really cool cameras. In fact, people have been donating money to upgrade my equipment.
Hell
It's
yeah.
crazy.
Hell yeah,
I received like $75 just the other night from one person just to upgrade my equipment, and it just shows like how much they appreciate the
man.
channel. And like, here, Aaron, and that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna throw it right into camera gear and stuff, and
Hell
we're
yeah.
gonna make some better visual experiences. But through panning and certain shots and stuff, you can capture the absolute glory of
Of an
a
army.
magnificent
Dude,
army. Yeah,
hell yeah. Hell yeah. Because like, listen, photography is an art in itself, and so is videography, all that stuff. Like, everything has an art form to it. So
learning process. Yeah,
exactly, and to me, a lot of people say, "Well, you can't take a good shot of an army," but I think you can, because nothing to me
you
is
can.
more intimidating or intense than that extreme wide shot of an insane
Yeah.
army in front of one, like whether it's Cobra Command or whether it's Destro, Serpentor, whoever it is. You have that one guy in front of this, and it's legit. It's not like you didn't computer generate that. You didn't just double your figures. You actually have
Oh,
that
right,
in the
and
figure.
you can tell.
Yeah,
That's the beauty of those shots, like, you
yeah,
can tell because every figure is not gonna be set up. like I'm looking at 50 soldiers right now, right here on the shelf, and every figure is not positioned exactly the
Exactly.
same, and one's holding his gun
Yeah.
up, one's down, one's double handing it, and the just the true power of it is like overwhelming to me, and I love to see that as a visual, because this is something that we all wanted when we were
Oh
kids.
yeah.
We wanted an army of
Oh
vipers.
yeah.
We wanted an army of Cobra troopers, and we wanted that stuff. But our, if you had parents like mine, especially single mom
Yeah.
raising their
Yeah.
kids,
Yeah.
he would a lot of the times she'd be like, Aaron, I just bought that one for you a couple weeks ago. You only need one of that,
Yeah.
because you didn't understand the army
Yeah.
building concept, and we didn't know it as kids
Yeah.
either. We just knew we wanted multiples of the
So yeah.
soldiers,
Yeah.
But it was hard to do as a kid, and I didn't want my mom, you know, I didn't want to make her mad, but I would sometimes be like, "Oh, mom, my bat, broke, or I lost some parts. Can I please get an extra bat?" And I would try, and sometimes I would fib to get more of the
You
same
figure,
figure.
yeah. Dude, if I could tell you that
Sorry, mom. I love you,
as
mom.
an adult now, like I saw the contest and I was very impressed with it because I like just seeing everybody come out and showing off their armies. Now I have a fraction of what some of these guys have, like Savage Land and Grievance
Mhm.
and all these guys like Woody. These guys are building strip armies. I cannot wait to see what what the contestants bring to the table here and what they show off. Because
Yes,
to me, like like I said, you can get the shot if as long as you set it up right. It's all in the eye. If you see
absolutely.
something, you can do it.
And
Like I'm telling you,
And there's other aspects. It's
yeah,
going to be based off of a point system of different aspects,
yeah,
because I understand that not everyone has a huge army, and I don't want everyone to think that's what the contest is about. It's also about where you're setting up
no, I
at.
see what you're doing.
What
Yeah,
what are you using vehicles with
yeah,
it? You could everyone can enhance an army to make it, you even all the way up to the editing
yeah,
and to the music, because you have to make a video to enter. It has to be 2 or 3 minutes long, and we're gonna see all of them. That's the best part about it. I never knew anyone that had a contest like this,
yeah.
army building
It's awesome.
contest and everything, with a cash prize at the
Yeah,
end. And you here it is. We're gonna have them at least once a year. I might do them twice a year, but
that's awesome.
at least once a year for right now. And you will hold the rank as the number one army
No, but
building,
yeah,
you know,
that's awesome.
person in the
That's
community.
awesome.
You have to enter this
Yeah,
contest until there's another one, I
yeah,
guess. But yeah,
dude.
you will hold the rank for a year. It's kind of like a well
Well, like
known.
I
Oh,
said, you're
he was
bringing out.
last year's best.
Not only are you bringing out everybody who wants like just to show off their army and toys, you're bringing out creativity out of people because now they have to
Yes.
kind of show it in a creative way. Like you said, now that you said that, I might enter because I have respectable amount. Like I don't have, like I said, nowhere near the big numbers, but if it's
All right.
about display, creativity, and
Yeah.
all that stuff, then you can make it work. Then you can kind of
Absolutely.
hang it, and that's where.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome, dude. For real, like I like that idea, man.
And there's been a lot of people that, like, I mean, we know Savage Land's been in the army
Oh
building
yeah,
forever,
oh
and
yeah,
I'm so excited that he agreed to join. I'm trying to get Iron Ken to hop in, and not only try to dip his foot in the community, but show off his I know he has huge
oh
army and
yeah.
great display.
Oh,
But I want to bring up one other person that really has been working his ass off, and he's fairly new to the community, but new to GI Joe and everything, and is Grievance.
yeah,
Grievance has the real Grievance. He has been working his ass off
yeah,
building his army, and he's gotten into diorama, and I'm seeing, and he's talking to everyone, and he's always
yeah.
collaborating and getting these ideas, and it it brings a smile to my
Oh yeah,
face every time I see that
yeah.
guy, and he is just
He's one of the
working his and
he's one of the funniest guys in the community too. I don't think anybody.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
he's one of the
yeah,
funniest.
he's
Oh yeah,
hilarious, and it's he's one of those guys that you can meet, and you can just cut up with all
oh yeah,
night, and wouldn't hurt his feelings at
yeah,
all, and
yeah,
just like, yeah, I really enjoyed
yeah.
meeting him.
He's great, man. And the fact, like I said, he jumped with both feet. He said, "Screw this! I'm going to build the biggest Crimson army possible." And I like with
Yeah.
him. I like
Oh,
he's 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 focusing it on the Crimson army. I just like
yeah,
the idea of that
yeah.
and the fact that he went
Well,
balls to the wall with it is pretty impressive.
balls deep is what I'm. Yeah, he is in it, bro. And I'm like, I'm super stoked to see what he comes up with.
Yeah, hell yeah. Are you gonna have judges, or are you just gonna be the judge on in
I'm
terms of
I'm gonna I'm gonna take the I'm gonna take the initial I'm gonna take the ranks as judging. I was gonna have some guest judges, like we have another contest, the Met
yeah,
contest and stuff,
yeah,
and I was gonna have some guest judges. And don't get me wrong, I haven't fully decided how I'm gonna do the army building contest. I may have the backyard battlefield join me, and that's three-star draw
yeah,
and crusty old crow. We are the backyard
hell
battlefield when
yeah,
we get together. That's that may be a possibility just for the point system, so we can get a more, and they'll be able to do it because they're watching the same videos as me. But
mm,
like, but for like the mechs and things, these are like I have the mechs sent to my house from
yeah,
everybody that entered, and I'm really like I I'm not saying I'm a mech expert, but I've done a lot of mechs and stuff,
yeah, yeah.
and especially the particular one that the contest is about. I've done a lot of different versions of them, but I'm definitely going to judge that one because they're in my home. I get to look at them. I'm going to make great videos on those too, and we get to put them all together. That's going to be another great contest that is about to take off here,
Hell yeah, dude.
real
I
quick.
entered that. I entered that, and I'm excited. I'm
Yes,
excited to
yes,
see.
you do have a mech here, right?
Yes, I
Yeah.
sent it to you. Yes, I'm excited to see how that goes.
Yes, I do have your mech.
Yeah.
Yes, I have a few, man. There's a few mechs here. You guys, it should be a good video,
I'm
man, and
excited.
exciting.
Oh yeah, dude. I'm excited,
Yeah.
man. Did you find that through Ninja too? Was that how you discovered that mech, or did you?
Um, I found it. I did find the mech through
Mhm.
Ninja. But he found it through Wilhelm.
Oh, okay, okay,
Wilhelm Toys. Okay, and
mm,
he's a 3 3/4 guy. So Wilhelm did something similar, but they kept it in the 3 3/4 class.
okay,
'Cause that's what these mechs were made for.
mm,
But Ninja found out that if you can rip out the seat,
yeah,
that a 1/12 figure does fit real nice
yeah,
in these things, and they look cool, man. They look wicked. And when Ninja did his video, I was literally out the next day picking up 10 of these
that's
things.
awesome.
And I launched my video within 2 days after his of the black one, the black his tank mechs that I
Yeah, dude,
made.
those were sick.
And man, I was stoked. I was excited. I spent the whole weekend making my mech,
Mhm.
and it was the funnest thing I ever did. I was like, man, this is a blast.
Yeah,
And I pumped out a video. I put it under like dollar store mech
yeah,
something,
yeah.
dollar store mech, G.I. Joe classified. And it did get a lot of
Views,
views. I
yeah.
was surprised. It was one of my earlier videos.
I have to thank
And
you.
of course,
I have to thank you because you sent me the mech to enter the contest. So
oh yeah, yeah.
I appreciate that very
There was
much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I did pick up a bunch of them, and like I said, I wouldn't mind shipping you one because I know you got to ship it back
Yeah,
to
yeah.
me, and so on and so on, and you'll get it back with there may be consolation prizes
Oh,
going out
awesome,
and
dude.
coming to everyone. Everyone's gonna get. I tell you what, everyone that sent me the mech is gonna get their mech back in a little something
Awesome,
something.
dude. Yeah, yeah.
No one's gonna go home
A loser.
empty handed.
That's awesome, dude.
Because you guys put a lot of work
Oh,
into
yeah.
them,
Dude,
and
that was fun. That was fun to kinda just
I'm glad.
my biggest goal was to enhance the toy because I was like, I'm making this for the toy enhancer. I have to enhance this somehow so that he sees that, oh wow, he took the toy to the next level the way I would have. That was
Oh
basically my
man.
inspiration for when I built my mech, man. But I did notice that
Oh,
you
well, that's awesome to
yeah,
hear.
no, no, dude. I noticed that you dipped your foot into the 3D printing realm. How are you
Yes.
finding that? Uh,
Okay. So you guys know I'm real tight with Loki Wartooth.
yeah, he's a great dude.
Um, we've been doing some purchases through him and stuff, and he is a busy man and stuff, and he gets them out as soon as he can.
Yeah,
But him and another girl, a 3D printer. There's a whole total of three different 3D printers that I've been dealing with. Two are local, and then we have Loki Wartooth,
yeah,
and they've all been great. But on the other hand, they've all been telling me like, "Hey, Aaron, you should pick up a little 3D printer," and because they know I need I need shit all the time, from like it could be a trash can I need,
yeah, yeah,
or a bench, or just simple stuff, and they're like, man, you're so crafty that like it would benefit your channel to have your own 3D printer. So even when I was I make purchases from these people and they make money off me, but they're here they are like telling me that like I should dabble into 3D printing. And I'm like, holy crap, these people that like they make money off me.
Yeah.
And I was like, they're literally like gifting me their trade. And I still, even though I 3D print, I still buy stuff.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
stuff that they
yeah,
make that I can't make everything.
yeah.
But but I was really surprised that they helped me. They told me what unit to start off. Loki told me, he's like, hey, get this unit, you'll love it. It's simple, it's easy to use, and he was absolutely correct.
Yeah,
And I'm not computer suave. I barely know how to turn my damn computer on, and everyone knows that I say this all the
yeah,
time. All this editing on the computer, this is all new to
yeah,
me. I do everything. I do all my filming still from my phone, but we have better cameras
yeah,
coming. But yeah, all this stuff's new to me, and like for people to not be like, what do we want to say, gatekeepers of it,
yeah,
and to tell me where I need to go and point. Like you said, this community is like so giving, man, so
yeah.
giving,
Well,
and they just don't care. They're just, it's all for the love of toys in
yeah.
the end.
Whatever they can do to help you, they will always help you. Like that's how I discovered
So,
Loki was actually when we were in your room and someone jokingly said, I will trade this for your his tank. It was like a joke in your during one of your streams. I think they were in the backyard battlefield streams. And then I said, well,
mhm,
I have a 3D printer that I'll trade for his tank. I was joking, right? And I said it. Then Loki
mhm,
hit me up because, are you serious about that? And I said, well, yeah, I have the 3D. I had a resin printer at the time, but at
yeah,
least for me, I can't speak for everybody, but for me, it failed more than I had successful prints, and it was an absolute disaster to clean up when it would fail. It was just because there was
yeah.
resin, was you couldn't use it again. So I was like, fuck, man, it was just a headache and a hassle for me. So it just sat here and collected dust. So Loki was like, well, what can we do? I was like, buddy, you can just fucking have the thing. Just, I mean,
Oh
I was like,
wow,
you can like,
oh wow, you made his
yeah.
day,
He's like, dude, you
dude.
have no idea this is gonna up my business. I was like, buddy, it
Oh
is my
yeah.
absolute pleasure because at least now I know now I have a 3D guy, right? And then he goes, yeah. I was like, all
Yeah.
right, because I'm gonna come to you now when I need shit. And so far he's already got stuff on its way to me. I can't wait to get it. It's got should be here this week. But
Oh,
whatever
nice,
like
nice.
that's what I saw how giving the community was, and I was like, you know what, man, pay it forward. Like here, take it.
Yeah.
If I can't use it, take it, man. And like I was telling people on my stream, I was like, I can't give you toys because most of you guys have 10 times what I have. Like you all have the same toys. We all
Mhm.
collect the same things. So, but I can give dioramas away like Aaron. I was like, something custom piece. You guys can have those kinds of things. I'll give those away gladly. And everybody was receptive to it. So I was like, all right, so that's what
Yeah,
I'll start doing.
and I find that when you give people custom pieces like that you've printed, or just things that like they can't get their hands on,
Yeah.
that like they seem to like enjoy them a lot better. Like I give a lot of figures away to stuff to people, but when I give a figure away, I'm kind of trying to like secretly find out if they have it or not. I
Mm.
may watch their videos. I may watch, and I have just certain ways to go about it. I may bring it up at one point in time
Yeah.
and then send it to them like 2 months later, or something. But that's the thing with giving figures to people. You don't know what they have already.
Yeah.
And if you, especially if you want it to be a surprise, which I love doing, you got to kind of feel them out. But when you give them something that's like 3D printed or something you made, you basically know that they probably don't
No,
have
man,
it.
they're gonna love it
And
because like I did that
yeah,
for a couple of guys recently, and they were like, "Yeah, but thank you so much. This is because you took the time to paint it, to make it, customize it, whether it's adding to a piece. Like, 'cause I took a couple
yeah.
Lightyear trucks and made them like battle drones. But once I realized that this particular gentleman collected 3 3/4, I'm like, these actually scale better for your thing. Take them. I don't need them. They're just taking up space on my shelf. So now you can use.
And it's like a little piece of you you're giving
Yeah,
them too. A
exactly.
little piece of your
Exactly,
craftiness.
exactly.
Here you
It's like
go.
this is from me to you, and it's literally from me to
Yeah,
you because I made it. So it's one of those I take true pride in when you customize and
yeah.
you see the look on someone's face like, oh, thank you so much, this is awesome. It actually gives you a feeling of true pride.
Oh man, it makes me feel so
Yeah,
warm.
yeah,
Like any, I mean, you've complimented me so many times on different things. Like, man, I can't thank you guys enough. And like, it's a good warm feeling. And I
yeah.
feel the same way when other people customize. Like, I love looking
Oh
at
yeah,
their
oh
stuff,
yeah,
man. Not only do I get ideas from it, but I'm like, wow, I understand, how they created it and like why and like, oh man, and it'll get your brain going in different
Yeah, just
directions and
absolutely,
stuff,
man.
and get the wheels turning,
Yeah,
like
yeah. What was the
Yeah.
what's the recipe for that Delta 17 figure? Who is it, and what'd you use to make 'em?
All right. So on my Shep, it was the GI Joe classified. Was it infantry
Okay,
that we got?
the 60th
What was the
anniversary
exact
infantry
name?
guy.
60th anniversary
Yeah.
infantry. So it was that um it was that in the legs,
Okay.
and then of course he had the vest.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll put him up here. So he has the infantry legs,
Okay. Hell yeah.
the vest, and then that buck torso is actually um oh god, why can't I think of his name? Because we're in the middle of the thing. It is actually God, I'll just go grab him really quick.
Yeah.
God, I
Sure. Go
can't
ahead.
think of his name. Give me a
Yeah.
sec.
Yeah. Yeah. Go right ahead. As always, check out Aaron the Toyenhancer on his YouTube channel, and you can find him on Instagram at Aaron the Toyenhancer. There, he like I said, you can see all his amazing work and keep
Copperhead,
up on.
baby.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't know
Oh yeah.
why I couldn't think of his name,
Okay.
but yeah, the torso is from Copperhead. Okay,
Okay.
and if you see real close right there, you see those little bands on
Yeah.
his shirt there, and it looks like a rolled shirt. Those are the bands that were on Copperhead's biceps, and I just pushed them up to give like a rolled
Sleeve.
finish, a sleeve,
Yeah.
yeah, a
Awesome.
sleeve on there. And then of course we have a head sculpt from Loki Wartooth,
Awesome.
and that was just the Range Viper head sculpt.
Okay.
And then the Nox and the helmet came from the what was it? I want to say Night Wolf or the Wolf
Wolf
Spider. The
spider.
Wolf
Yeah.
Spider. Okay, so that came out. I know. We're listing off some expensive figures. Yeah, sometimes the customs get a little
Oh
pricey
yeah.
from the parts you're using,
Facts,
but
dude.
I'm just looking. I don't care about that when I'm doing a
Yeah.
custom. I'm just looking at getting it complete
Yeah. Yeah.
and looking right.
Look at
If
it.
if I have to use $60 worth of figs in the process, so be it.
Yeah.
Whatever. I want the custom finished.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I painted everything up. The scarf is obviously from a Viper,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that completed him out. And then what I did is I put a nice acrylic finish on him, but I left him shiny only because I wanted him to have that plastic look.
Okay.
So I when I did the finish on it, I did it purposely. A lot of people don't like that finish, and when I did the rooster, I just left them as a flat finish,
Okay.
especially the head and stuff, because they seem to like the flat finish a little bit
Better.
better.
Yeah. Yeah.
And again, the rooster was a real easy one to do. Obviously, it's the stalker buck.
Yeah.
That's the stalker with the boots painted.
Okay.
Sorry, my lighting's so poor,
That's
guys.
all right.
The boots painted, and it was a really good custom. And then the head sculpt is actually Tiger Force Duke with I just shaved his
Hair.
hair
Oh
off with a
wow.
razor blade to
Brilliant.
give him that mohawk.
Oh yeah. Brilliant, dude.
So that is Tiger Force Duke's
Right.
head.
Right on.
But it came together well, man, and you just collaborate on these ideas. And like I said, I look at my figures and just kind of get a sense of what I need to do,
Yeah.
or where I need to go. And I got one I'm working on now is the Okami,
Okay.
and I did do a head sculpt, like I guess like a rough version of it. And I want to show this because I
Yeah.
want to show because not everything goes perfect
Yeah.
when you're
Yeah.
doing these things, and sometimes, like I've taken this head sculpt as far as I can, but and I'm about to show you a real rough cut
Mhm.
version of it. But I carved it and cut it out of the alternate not televiper. Yes, the alternate televiper head. Okay,
Okay.
that we got with the televiper and
Yeah.
the flight pod. And I'll show it to you really quick,
Yeah.
but I'm showing this to you because
Oh wow.
again, it's a rough version, but like I'm not happy with it. I'm not happy with the way this looks. I'm gonna go ahead and restart from ground zero
Yeah.
with a more skinnier head sculpt, and I got some other ideas. I'm actually going to use something along the terms of um,
Wow.
Iron Man.
Oh hell yeah.
I'm going to use an Iron Man, which is veering away from the classified line, but to get this Okami figure from Delta 17, that's what I have to do. I have to veer away and go into another realm because it is
Okay,
a
okay.
robotic looking
Yeah,
figure, very it's not a real human.
yeah, yeah,
So I have to go into another realm besides classified. Of course, we do have our battle android from classified, but that does not look like an Okami
yeah,
ninja.
yeah.
So you have to think on these aspects, and not everything goes right and smooth the first time. Like that, I just showed you. I'm gonna backstep and retrace my thought process on it.
Dude, I always tell my wife a hobby is failing a bunch of times, but you don't care because you like doing it. You don't really, you just don't care.
Yes,
So just you fail a bunch and I'll try it again. I'll just keep trying until I get it right. That's usually what it
yes.
boils down to with it when it comes to this stuff, man. Speaking of hobbies, are you gonna take a more photography spin on it? What are you gonna start doing with your toys in terms of playing?
Oh yeah, I'm I think my next step is to definitely upgrade my equipment, and we have done like I have the Cobra Army scenes. I'm on. I think
Yes, which
we're
I did like.
number no,
Yeah, I like those a lot better.
number 7 is coming up, and I've been watching a lot of these guys that are doing it on a whole nother level of me. Did you happen to see the Bazooka movie?
I first off, I love Mike the Hunter. He is the guy who made it. He's the reason I started doing play motion because of
Okay,
his films.
I just got introduced to this,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I thought it I thought it was one of the most epic and
yeah,
well put together things that I ever seen. And when I see stuff like that, I immediately think, "Wow, I gotta at least jump my game up to half of that
yeah,
level
yeah, yeah,
because they are wonderful." And they not only did I get a lot of good ideas from watching that, and I'm learning the crowds that are doing this, but I was kind of doing the same thing without even knowing about other people doing
yeah,
it in a better version. So it's going to make me want to step my game up, and that's kind of why I haven't been putting out my Cobra Army story. There's a story behind it and everything
yeah.
that we're following, but I do have my story plot. But now I want to bring it together in
Yeah.
like a more amazing. I think I can do better, is what I'm saying.
No, dude, like,
So that
did you see his other stuff? He has a Kamakura
I
movie, and it's called G.I. Joe Classified. It's about, Outback. So
Oh,
he's got a
okay,
couple.
and like I said, I Tony's Figs, man, thank you,
Yeah,
Tony's Figs, for sending me that link.
yeah,
He sent me the Bazooka link because I was like, "What's this Bazooka movies,
yeah,
everyone?" And this is how I'm always the last to learn
yeah,
about
he was
everything,
but
but
he's
he's like, "Dude, you gotta watch it," and he sent me the link, and I literally was watching it
yeah,
today, man, and I was like, "Oh my
yeah,
goodness." It was like, "This is
yeah.
amazing."
Like I said,
So,
he
I'm
inspired me.
learning.
That's how I started.
And what's the gentleman's name? Because
Mike
I just did
Yeah,
learn.
Mike the Hunter 203. Yeah,
Okay, Mike the Hunt, dude, amazing, and
yeah,
I am gonna, jump all over that and get all over his
yeah.
content and
Dude,
everything.
you
But
should, I don't know if you have yet, but if you've seen action figure stop motion, type in it just
mm-mm.
when you get a chance, just type it in. Like I said, there's a lot of Marvel Legends. There's a couple good GI Joe Classified. What I'm noticing about Classified, it's the play motion is where it's at. Like Mike the Hunter really just kind of put everybody like this is how it's supposed to be done essentially. Um, and like I said, I have my own that's done pretty well. It doesn't have the level of views that his first Classified movie has, but it's getting it's up there, right? So and then there's
Nice.
another place called GI Joeberg. You ever hear of them?
GI Joeberg, I have, and the reason I complimented on one of their videos like not too long ago,
Yeah,
and they came back with, "Thank you, Toyenhancer, such and such," and they're like, "We're a fan of yours," and that totally blew me
yeah,
away. I was like, "You guys are fans of mine?" I was like, "You guys are awesome."
yeah,
I was like, "Holy crap!" And then for them to comment that back, and of course, I'm all subbed up.
yeah, dude.
I'm watching I'm trying to get through their content now, and it's delightful because I like putting that stuff on the big
Hell
screen
yeah,
and just watching it like a movie,
yeah.
you know?
Because like I said, their stuff too is one that I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Because I was doing stop motion at first. I was doing a lot of photography, and then I was like, I want some animation to this stuff. I want things to move and stuff. So originally I was just
Yeah,
gonna animate like effects and just kind of keep them stationary, but I was like, no. So I started watching stop motion, and I was like, I like this, and I did it, but then I was like, Jesus Christ, this takes forever. Like, yeah, that is a
yeah.
process. So then I was just trying to find ways to speed it up, and I came across GI Joeberg, and I watched their literal four. They
Yeah.
have a 4 hour video of their entire story, just right after another.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I was like, "Oh my, okay,
Yeah.
what's this?" So I watched, and I was like, "This is acceptable." Like, with all due respect, I like them a lot. I love their stuff, but to me, I was like,
Yeah.
if this is okay, people can dismiss the fact that your hand is in the shot or your body's in the shot.
Right.
You can dismiss that because the story is what it needs to be. Good, like I said, the Mike the Hunter things. A lot of times, his stories are so good you don't even realize his hands are there because you're not paying
Yes.
attention to that no more. You're just watching the figure, and then
And that's what I got from it
yeah,
too. I was like, wow, it's like even though I'm seeing a hand here and there and all that stuff, I was like, this is
yeah,
really great storytelling. And what it does is it opens up a run. There's a lot of toy tubers that maybe just do reviews or they do news or they do stuff like that. And then, I know in the back of their mind they're worried about, what am I going to do for views when this line ends,
yeah,
when I don't have much to talk about, Jazz. But when you're playing with your toys and doing storytelling like this, the possibilities for your content is endless.
endless,
It's
endless.
endless. You can do it
Yeah,
forever,
it
and
goes as
that's
far
the
as
beautiful part of it.
it goes as far as your imagination will take you, like,
It's a
literally.
real beautiful thing.
Yeah, like, literally, because like, I already, like I'm doing the GI Joe crossover with Ninja Turtles, then eventually I already have in my head, well, they're gonna have to cross over with superheroes, I'm gonna have to like, so the world is already in my head expanding, so you're already never ending. So it's like, all right, they'll have this, and then they'll
Yes.
work with these, then this one will come in, and this can come from here, and, you a
Yeah.
multiversal jump, all of a sudden He-Man is like everything can kind of spin together if your imagination is there, and it never ends. Like you said, the problem with reviewing things is there's a shelf life. Like,
Yeah.
eventually, either people are just not going to care anymore what you have to say about the toy, or the toy line is just going to
Mhm.
end and there's really nothing else to review. So you
Right.
have, if you want the channel to sustain a life past just reviews and talk, then you have to be creative. You have
Have
to.
that evergreen
Exactly. Either
footage.
you have to build dioramas, either you have to customize the figures, or you have to use the ability to either photography, stop motion, or play motion to keep the channel flooded with interesting and basically original content because no one else is going to come up with the story that you would come up with on your own. And like I said, all I can tell
Right.
you is if you journey into play motion, bro, if I can give you any word of advice with it, is have as much fun as you can, but remember, just focus on the story. Because if the story's
Yes.
there, they won't give a shit about the hands. They won't give a shit about anything else. They like, oh, I've been told this by multiple
Yeah.
people. They're like, I didn't even realize your hand was there
Yeah.
halfway through the thing because the story was so good. So when you hear that, that's when you're
Yes.
like, that's all I wanted. I didn't want you to pay
Yeah.
attention to my hand. I don't want you to know he's playing with his toys. That's not the focal point. The focal point is what I'm trying to, the story I'm trying to tell, and the fact that
And
you
what's gonna happen next? You're like,
exactly,
"What's gonna happen next? Where are we
exactly,
going now?" You know?
yeah, exactly, man. And I listen,
An adventure.
the creativity that you have with building not only dioramas but custom cars and all that other stuff, but you already have leaps and bounds advantage over somebody who's just starting. So all you would need now,
Oh,
and
thank
and,
you.
and you have it on the way, is your camera equipment. And once you figure that part
Yeah.
out, and you get the hang
Yep.
of how it's supposed to be shot and what you want to see, and another thing too is
Oh,
don't
it's
ever let anybody tell you that it's got to be lit or done a certain way. The creativity is in you. You're the artist. That is your canvas. Paint it however you want it dark and dingy. Make it dark and dingy. That's how
yeah.
you see it. For me, it's very vibrant colors. I like
Yeah.
contrast. I love shadows. I love creating mystery and drama. So I'm always shooting things dark and mysterious over bright and fucking just flat. So
Me me too, me too. I do a lot of reviews on my garage table, and I know sometimes I don't get the best, you may not get the best visual on, like, how the toy looks, but
yeah,
I want to set the atmosphere sometimes,
yeah,
I
yeah,
want
yeah,
to have a dark setting,
yeah.
I'm not really like, you'll see the figure good enough, but I'm not too concerned on you catching the major detail. I want you to see the review and see the figure, but more so if you like the figure, I want you to pick it up and kind of experience the super awesome detail when you have it
You
in your
have it
hand and stuff.
exactly.
I'm just kind of giving you a taste of
Yeah,
it, and
yeah,
then I really want you to
and
experience it.
absolutely, dude. But listen, this has been a great episode, brother. Thank you so much for coming
Thank
on,
you,
man.
man. It's been a blast talking to you,
Hey,
man. I've been like, I knew right from like I met you because you had Savage Land
yeah,
on,
yeah,
and I knew right from the get go when I seen that. I was like, man, this guy's just like us, man. He's just like me. I was like, this is crazy. And ever since then, and I have to say, your live streams are the most entertaining live streams I've ever watched.
thank you,
They
brother.
are hilarious. You guys are just a blast to
Thank you, brother.
watch, man.
Yeah, man.
And
I appreciate it.
yeah,
Dude,
I
your
try to
streams are
tune
funny.
in
Your
every
streams are
time I
funny too. Don't kid yourself, man. And let me tell you something.
thank you, man.
I've told your
We try.
cohorts this, both of them. I told them that when I first saw the backyard battlefield, I thought the three of yous had been friends for years. I had no idea that that was like the
We
first time that you guys started hanging. I had no idea. That's how good you
thank
guys'
you,
chemistry
thank you.
was, man. It's really good, man.
We we got a lot of compliments after the first one,
Yeah.
and then we were like, we gotta keep this going
Hell
just for
yeah.
people that enjoy it. And it's cool. I heard someone mention about a couple other people clicking up together like same time, Woody and or just another
Yeah.
click, like maybe like someone mentioned that, and it's just recently. Man, if you can click up with your homeboys and make something happen, do
You
it,
do,
man.
yeah.
I mean, do it because
Hell yeah.
people do like seeing that
They
stuff,
do,
man.
yeah.
It's
Hell yeah. Now listen,
awesome.
Woody came he came to hang out. Like, I hung out with Woody a
Yeah,
couple
yeah,
weeks ago, and like I said to him, man, I was like, you know, Joe Fest and DFW that weekend was the first time in a very, very long time that I was bummed that I had missed out on a toy show or convention. Like, I was like, man, this sucks because like just seeing the pictures and videos of everybody just being together, just kind of
yeah,
congregating and being, oh, like that was, I was like, oh man, that reminds me of like the wrestling days when the locker room and all the boys just going, they're just happy to see each other. You only see each other by every few months, whatever. So it was just one of those things where I
yeah,
was like, there's a camaraderie here that you can't
yes.
describe it to people. Like some people, like my wife says,
It
this is amazing how you guys all like you all are
and
on the same page, like a hive mind. We all think the same way.
and honestly, yeah, when you're I mean, when you're there at these places, like, you have this buzz, this
Yeah,
this vibe, and, like, everybody's in a good mood, everybody's having the time of their life, and honestly, I'm here to say that was my first Joe Fe I've gone to other cons, Dragon
yeah,
Con,
yeah,
whatever, Toyland, all this I've gone to these other conventions, but Joe Fest, when all my friends were there and they made like, um, Punk with Toys, Lawrence came
yeah.
down, spent the first night with me. Crow came from, he Lawrence came from Michigan.
Yeah.
Crow came from
I
Canada.
know. That's crazy.
Loki and Daredevil Dave came from a long ways away. And we all spent the first night together and hung out. And it's like this vibe though, even after hours when the convention isn't going on and everyone's in the bar hanging out and
Yeah,
just in the lobby or whatever, or we're going through lobby sales or room sales, after sales. There's a lot of after sales. It's probably the best, personal little adult vacation that I've ever had, and
wow.
I've gone on a lot of
Yeah,
epic hunting trips,
yeah.
and, I've done a lot of crazy cool things there, and this honestly, it was the funnest thing I've ever done by
That's awesome,
myself,
dude.
but I was with I
Yeah,
mean, as away from my
family.
family.
Yeah, yeah. That's awesome, dude. It looked like a blast. Like I said, it was the first time I told my wife, I was like, man, I'm actually bummed. And my wife was like, not next year. We're going. And I was like, hell yeah. Like without question.
And I hated for people to that's why we're out there, we're trying to pump live streams and
Yeah,
stuff
yeah,
and walk you guys through. We're trying to give you the inside side of it and it's almost to bring it to you because that's all I can do for the people that couldn't make it
yeah,
or had something going on. I understand that and that's why I'm out there like I'm trying to pump these live streams and show you guys so you can almost feel like you're there in a sense.
yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, man. You, Crow, Pop Blender, you all made me feel like I was there. Like with the amount of
Thank
content that
you.
you guys put out from there. So for that much, I will
Thank you,
say that
buddy.
all you guys did a great job, man. And the fact, like I said, Krusty Old Crow coming from Canada, and just trying to unwind finally, being with friends and just kind of having to cut
Yeah.
loose and be. It was nice to see that. It was nice to see him big smile, all smiles all weekend,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's
Our voices were
yeah,
shot by the end of it. I
I
mean,
bet
we talked so much. I mean, we weren't yelling or screaming, but our voice from all the
the
talk,
talking
our
and stuff.
voices
Yeah,
were
man, that's great.
destroyed.
Well, I hope that me and you can do it in the near future, brother. Like I truly
Oh,
do. I
yeah.
hope to see you in
We're
person.
gonna get together.
Yeah,
Like I said, I'm going to be visiting some family up in New York, and I see a special toy hunt, or maybe we'll get in and maybe I can get in the live studio with you
Hell
and
yeah.
sitting right next to
Hell
you.
yeah, buddy.
Man, that would be great.
Buddy,
That would be
we
great.
will definitely plan something like that because I would love that. Absolutely, for real, man. Um,
Nice,
you can
nice.
catch this fantastic gentleman at his channel and Instagram at Aaron the Toyenhancer. Like I said, there you'll see all his amazing work and everything that he does, and he's going to bring you some amazing stuff coming up the pike here. So please be out on the lookout for that. Is if there's anything I can say about this gentleman is that every time you watch him, you'll learn something because he's always teaching, man.
Oh,
So
and the same goes with Tony. You guys know that.
thank you
You
very much,
know.
brother. I appreciate the very kind words about the live stream, man. That means the world to me. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you have the most epic live stream.
Thank you so much, man.
It's off the chain, man.
Thank you so much, man. This has been Talking Figures. I am Tony. That is Aaron the Toy Enhancer. Until next time, everybody, keep on playing.
Catch you on the next time.